Well, hey now, folks. John Duffin here, Duffin Media. Welcome back to a 2024. Oh, let's get that top button a little bit. Hey, this is business. We ain't here slumming. Anyway, John Duffin here, Duffin Media, Duffin Coaching. Welcome back to another episode of JD's Top Tips to Crush Your 2024 Business Goals. I am thrilled that you are here. And folks, if you're watching me live on Facebook Live, hey now, great to see you. Let me know that you are here. Drop a note in the comments. If you're watching me on LinkedIn Live, yeah, it's all business there, baby. Drop a note in the comments. I hope you are here, right? And if you're watching me on YouTube Live, great. Like, subscribe, tell your family, tell your mom, all those cool things, right? We're right here. What we intend to do is drop some killer content right through your front door, and we get to do it here. Yo! 2 rock stars all in one comment. Rosalie McKenzie, Chad McKenzie. I absolutely love you both from my all-star coaching alum. Couldn't be happier, and they are watching it live. Yes, yes, yes. Couldn't feel more good about this. Folks, this is going to be a fun session today. Like I said, we talk about top tips to help you crush your 2024 goals. The whole intention is to make certain that you are set up to win. And very specifically, we head in the world of communications. We set a couple of premises. And when we set those premises, then we dive deep into some tips that you can take away. But we don't bludgeon people. Figure today we'll give 3-4 killer tips, if I do say so myself. But the fact is, what I would say, here you go, right off the bat, if you think nothing more than the following in regards to the presence, we're in 2023 sorry. Remember when we used to write checks and it would take me literally about 7 months to get right with the year? Well, anyway, there you go. Look, it's 2024. You're either, if you're me, feeling full steam ahead and all great, and then every once in a while you feel like you're going a little too fast or a little too frenetic, or you feel like you're not keeping up. Anyone watching live feeling that way? Anyone feeling like a lot of mixed emotions, so to speak? Yeah, true for me too. Without a doubt. Look, here's the thing. There's so much stuff that you're getting bludgeoned with. If you work for a corporation, it's all those bosses and all your colleagues and everyone's agenda being dumped on you. If you're an entrepreneur and you are on social media and by the way, since you're watching me live, you're obviously on social media, which is great. However, the only thing that may not be so great is that sense of a lot of people screaming about new year, new you, and living my best year yet. And I'm already 500% ahead of my goals. And you're like, okay, wait a minute. I'm just dusting pumpkin bread off of my chest and getting back in gear. I've had all of those feelings and all of those emotions. So the basic premise, here's an opportunity. It's going to sound intimidating, but it's an opportunity. If you keep in mind that every communication matters, you might be like, okay, that's a lot of pressure. Maybe, but I don't mean it that way at all. Every communication matters because it can lead you somewhere. The best business conversations, the best relationship conversations are progressive, meaning they're going to take you in a direction. Our job is to make sure it's taking you in a direction that you want to go, that you're intending to go. Okay. That it's, if you're moving in the direction that you're intending to go, and the fact of the matter is you feel comfortable with it, then go right. But what I would say is this: if nothing else, I'm only sharing. Remember, folks, you are the driver. You are the driver of the communications. You really are. Unless someone is calling you from out of the blue and you randomly pick up and they just start firing off things. Today's episode focuses on your communications and your outward reach. Why am I putting up that hot car? All right. I'll tell you the quick story of the setup, by the way, in terms of the life lesson and the business lesson. So I've driven a car really similar to that little shiny, beautiful BMW stick manual convertible for the better part of, I don't know, 25 years. Different colors, different, years, but always the same car. All right, a couple things about that. I'm not telling you that to impress you. And by the way, there's a temporary sad ending to that. A year ago, I was in an accident and I don't drive that car anymore. But what are you going to do? Here's the purpose of why I'm showing that example. So in 1998, right, when I was in the market for a new car and I'm feeling hot and flush and business is going well and this is cool. And I kept coming back to that car, different color and all that stuff, but they kept coming back to that car. Now, didn't know how to drive a stick shift. Never drove manual in my life. The only time I lied, one time, I was driving my sister's car to do an errand. And I still remember rolling backwards down the hill because I couldn't figure out how to move the car forward. So I rolled down this steep hill. It's rush hour and I'm outside of a business complex. And I can remember tapping into the car behind me. Now, typically, when you get rear-ended, you're not the one driving. Well, that happened. So here was the fun part. I learned. I had to learn. I buy that manual car and I had to learn. And I learned the part which is going to be really relevant to the life lesson today of the ability to shift and the control that you have. And more importantly, that you can do it almost mindlessly. This is not adding a to-do of all the things you're going to need to do in your business world. You get right with this ability to be able to speed up, slow down, drive a little harder, a little bit. That ability to control a conversation is going to move you forward a ton, right? The setup to the tip. It's always our job to connect. I call it a three-way connection or the love connection from that old show. You to the audience. And the audience can be an audience of one. The person you're speaking to on the phone, if it's a small meeting, if it is a quick Zoom call, it may be a larger group. If you're a business person, folks, who is speaking in front of groups of people, and I don't mean speeches, although that's fine. But in a business setting, there was a lot of experiences for me where I was speaking to way more than one person. So this could be an audience of one, or an audience. I'll say my largest business presentation was in a boardroom and whatever, and it was about 150 people. And so I've spoken in front of larger audiences, but on a business presentation, I'm going to say maybe 150, 200, right? So it was my obligation, my responsibility to know that I had to connect to the audience. And again, the quantity doesn't matter. I had to be able to connect to the content, to tell us an engaging story, because I needed to pull the audience to the content. I needed it to matter to them. So when I talk about the tips and I talk about the engagement and you are the driver, here's your first tip, right? Your first tip is literally this. Vary the pace, win the race. Okay? What do I mean? You have the ability to be able to monitor your speed. We'll include volume in this a little bit today, but I'm really talking about the speed. Let me ask you a question, which is, have you ever attended a meeting or have you ever led a meeting? But it's easier to answer if it's an attended, where the person was really going quickly, because what matters to them most was to make sure that you knew the features and benefits. And when you're done, we're going to be able to move this forward. And then we can, and see, this is why you're going to love this. And blah, blah, blah. Have you ever been a part of that? I have. Early on, that was me, by the way. Let me give you an example and a life lesson. Here's your business life example story. I do voiceover work. Grateful to say narration and that sort of thing, and it's fun. And I was working with a coach. His name is Everett Oliver. So, by any chance, Everett, you're listening, God love you. Thank you. An amazing voiceover trainer. So, I'm going to add that with that, I'm in a training session and he's giving me the script and I'm going through it and he walks over to me and he's speaking really slow. And I remember it's like, okay, I'm not stupid. Here's the question he asks me. Uh, do you drink coffee by any chance? And I think if I remember correctly, I'll answer it like I was there. Yes, I do. I love coffee. Do you love coffee too? I literally almost blew him out of the room. So here's the problem. You want a quick disconnect? Not be at the place the audience wants to be. It doesn't mean you have to imitate them. You just have to pay attention to them. Okay. That's the variance. It is really easy to be able to do this, by the way. And I'm going to show you how. But right away, again, you control that. Want to know how? Become a good storyteller. How do you do that? Know the whole story. When you're having a conversation, business conversation, an important conversation, can be personal too, but I'm going to say an important conversation as it relates to business. Well, so often we're following scripts or we're following PowerPoint slides and using those as our markers, right? And I'm going to say right off, it's hard. Okay, it is hard. The fact is, it's really important that you are navigating. Think of the sticks, the stick shift sticks, the stick shift. You can do that. Here's how. It's really important that you know the story, the what's next, how it involves the client, the audience, whatever. It's really important that you, and I mean all of it, not just the beginning and the conclusion, all the middle explanatory parts. You need to know that. It is way more important than memorizing words. Okay? Memorizing words, anyone can do. A parrot can do that. To be an engaging storyteller, you just need to know the story, which is actually easier but requires work. You're going to get on the phone. Like I said, every communication matters. You're going to get on the phone this afternoon and talk to somebody about your company, about an opportunity, asking for a job or a promotion, leading a sales training session. I implore you to know the story. If you are working on a time crunch, tell a shorter story. Do not race the material along. Have you ever heard somebody literally need to race a story to get through all their PowerPoint slides? Oh, dear God. 1,000 times I've watched that. It is literally like being in an out of control train. And when they invented the expression train wreck, that's what I think. Tell a shorter story. Bring in less collateral. If you've got 10 minutes, you're telling a 5-minute story because you want to engage the client. So when you do, remember, you need to know the whole story to be able to stand in it, feel good about it. You're the storyteller. Remember, you're controlling the gauges. I don't think when I drove that car for over, I guess, 25, 26 years, right? After about a month, I was never thinking about zzz. You just do it because you know how. So next time, anytime for your next communication, know what the story is. Again, the plot twists. Oh, what happens next? Oh, and now we're going to explain a little bit of the data that I've collected. And then what happens? Oh, and here's where we're going to show. Know all of that, rather than know all the words or all the Excel pivot tables, right? Know the whole story. So that's the next what I would say. Because I'm going to make a suggestion. This took me a while. You could slow the pace. You could slow the pace and not act in a panic again and act like you're talking down to people. Here's an example where slow works great. And I say slow pace, but not too slow. But let me give you a perfect example of where speaking more slowly really helps. Who here, by the way, and if you're watching on YouTube Live, God love you, but who here is a YouTube freak? Yeah, everybody. You want to learn how to do something? Where do you go? Yeah, YouTube. So when it's, for instance, I need to learn how to set up this microphone and microphone stand. There you go, brother. Dave DeBellius, rock star. He's getting there. Oh, you're doing better in getting there, brother. I'm just glad you're here. But what I'm all going to say, so you go to YouTube. I need to learn how to build this microphone stand. I am terrible technically, terrible. So everyone wants to tell you, well, watch YouTube. Okay. If you're watching YouTube on how to build a microphone, I've learned to like it, Rosalie, by the way. And the narrator is got all the mic this and all this stuff, right? And they're going with, okay, now move this lever to here, insert that screw to there. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh my God, slow down. Technical information needs to be spoken to slowly. Here's a real life example. One of the best voiceover coaches, and I brought up Everett Oliver. Here's another one. He has done a ton of narration, CNN, Jimmy Kimmel. He's done a ton, and he's one of the best narration coaches I've ever had. His name is Tom Pinto. Here's the visual that he gave me, and I loved this. I never forgot it. You go to YouTube, and you're going to build an outdoor shed. I probably wouldn't, but maybe you would, right? You're going to build an outdoor shed. Think how you are trying to keep up. I got my hammer, got the pieces. Okay, now, here are all the parts you need. Here's your hammer. Here's the slats. Here's the screws. And you're like, okay, great, got it. If somebody is speaking too quick, okay, now, grab that screw. That's E4, move it to 9.5. Blah, blah, blah. You're like, okay, Jesus. Here's the deal. When it's technical, like I work for a broadcast ad sales company where we provided a lot of detailed research, viewer habits, shopping habits, tendencies, trends, forecasts. It was weird because so often it was the most important part of the presentation simply because it supported the story that you were trying to tell. And if I didn't feel confident with knowing all of that detail, I've done it and I've watched it. I've raced through it to get to the end, hoping you didn't do the following, which is, and I'll imitate, right? So you're okay, and now, and viewer habit show and see that 12 book trend, and then you'd have somebody, one of the clients, and it was always the person that mattered the most, and you always knew it was coming. So you had this sense of dread as you're presenting the technical material because it's easier to provide the fluff material because it's easy to talk about because it's just easy, right? So you'd have that client sitting in the back and they'd be like, and your stomach would sink. And they'd be like, okay, could you go back one slide to that, the data, the empirical data as it regards to shopping habits and as it compares to, and my heart would sink. Have you ever seen somebody literally just almost melt down because they didn't know what the hell they were presenting? So in 25 plus years in broadcast ad sales, here's two compartments or departments that they were in a perfect world, they should have been collective, but they were more siloed. And it was our research department and the sales team. and the sales team just wanted to go close deals, and the sales manager and I'm both, right? We just wanted to get the clients happy and deals done so we could move on and sell more and service more, and this is great. And then the research people were all the nuts and bolts people. But we weren't living in harmony. Research people would hand us this technical information, and either A, you'd be like, okay, I ain't going to worry about that. Big mistake. Or B, butt heads because there wasn't enough time to absorb the story. So, takeaways in this regard: when you're explaining something technical, you have the inherent advantage because it's your material. So you have had the time, and if you haven't, you need to make the time to understand that part of the story, because it is an integral part of the story. So when my buddy and coach Tom Pinto talks about the technical side, think of it this way. Again, here's your hammer, here's the slats, here's the screws. Okay, take that slat E5. Got it, great. Take the screw, 9R. Oh, cool. Attach, insert. Got it. Great. What's next? That's how you want your client or your audience to be thinking. You, with that stick shift, not on the technical part. Not on the technical part, okay? I'm going to make one exception, though, too, all right? Not too slow. I've shared the story of my one client years ago falling asleep, and I mean soundly, during the end of a presentation. And in my mind, I'm having a mental hissy fit because this is the big client at the big agency, and I've flown in from out of town, and I've just been killing it to make sure that I'm ready for them. And we're in their big Mambo boardroom, and they let you know what big Mambo is because everything, it was in Texas, and everything's big and Mambo and oversized, right? So I'm at their big Mambo conference room table, and the key agency person is literally doing everything but snoring. And I'm heartbroken. And then I'm angry. Like, how dare they? Right? How dare they? Is because they weren't engaged enough. And that wasn't their issue. It was mine. But back in the day, I really remember being all put out. That they were literally, and I'm not kidding, and it was a conference room, so it wasn't that far away. So I, in turn, speak more quickly, more frenetically, probably more tense because I can't believe this is happening. And now I'm going to get through the data because blah, 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 and just get the hell out of here because she ain't waking up. So, and she didn't until this time it was saying goodbye. No one looked happier than that person when I was saying goodbye to them. Don't let that be you. So too slow is a risk, but really, if you're going to err in regards to how fast, how slow, check out your audience. Typically, you're not going to have an example of somebody literally in deep, restful REM sleep. I don't sleep great, so I was a little bit jealous of the fact that they were able to do it in a meeting. As opposed to me with my ritual now and sleepy time tea. So don't go too slow and bore people to death. Model or mirror what's happening around you. Now, my favorite, to go faster, right? Fun for me. Again, you're the driver. You've got some control, right? This is you. And I'm thinking, perfect world. I could think of countless examples, but I'll just give you one. I remember so well once I figured out how to drive a manual transmission. Still remember. It didn't matter where I was going, but if the weather was just so, and I threw that top back, I didn't care where I was going. It was the best drive of my life. And in those opportunities that were rev up, they were awesome. And again, the destination a lot of times didn't even matter. It was still a classic great ride in a classic great car that I was privileged to have. Privileged being the word, not an entitled sort of thing. I'm really grateful that I had this opportunity. And but the speed felt great and you knew it was the right time. So you would just hit the accelerator. And best feeling, best feeling, best feeling. So, anybody on the call that's live, when do you think it's a good time to speed? What do you think? Okay, couple tips. Good times to speed up the pace. In the beginning and at the end. Why? I'm going to throw a word. It's called anthemic. Anthemic is the following. Anthemic is building momentum. Third voiceover reference of the day. Her name is Kelly McGee, one of the best voiceover coaches for commercial work. Kelly McGee is one of the people that taught me the sense of timing and anthemic. And from a business perspective, I'll give you an idea. When you hear certain commercials and they're building to a conclusion, and whether it's more emphasis on the words or you're driving to a conclusion, you're building momentum, you're building energy, you're building excitement. So when you know the whole story, like we've talked about before, and you are then able to effortlessly control the pace, kind of like the driver and the stick shift. After a period of time, you don't think about it, you just do it. It's like it's connected to your body and it just goes. This addition will translate to more revenue because you're encouraging the people to know something that's coming is cool because here it's coming. And rather than a frenetic, oh, no. It's more of, hey, here we're getting here. It's going to be great. And here it is. And then, so I'm leading a presentation and it was for a major automotive group. And we were trying to get them on our company. There's streaming ads and digital and TV and all that kind of stuff. And we had never worked with them before. And it was remember I was saying the largest group presentation of a sales presentation. This specific board, probably about 150 people. And it said it's between 150 and 200. A lot as it regards to a sales meeting. And I really remember, some days when you just feel more on. And I'll give you an example of how you can feel more on more often. Be ready. Be ready with that story. Know where it's going. Know the nuts and bolts. Know why the technical data is there. You can say, I don't know to a technical question, and no one is going to beat you up if you know the whole story. Know why it matters. Know the nuts and bolts of the story. Know why the technical information matters. And I know I just repeated that because when you're building to a conclusion, you know you're going to stick the landing. Strong open. Somewhat slower of a roll when you're going through detail. Speed up the ending. I just remember feeling on. I knew this stuff because I needed to know it. I knew it mattered. I knew it mattered to my team. I knew I couldn't come in sloppy or, flying by the seat of my pants. I couldn't do that. So what I knew was I needed to be able to help my team look good. I didn't want to embarrass myself because I knew they'd be ready. So I was, and I just knew, and it felt kind of effortless. And by the time I got to the end of it, they don't stand up and applaud. They don't do that. But you could see the looks on their faces when they knew it was time for them to react or do something, because I was able to speed and build to the pace and build the excitement. And I'm telling you, I didn't even think about it. The reason I know it, the only reason I know it, is because others said it to me. They did. Oh my God. You're literally, one person said your pacing was so great. That was one of the better presentations I ever heard. And I know that sounds all self-serving. I get it. It's not, but I didn't hear that every day. I didn't hear that every day. So it's people were coming up and explaining why they liked it. That's the goal, folks. When I say at the beginning of this training session, this coaching session, that every communication matters, don't let that intimidate you. All right? Don't. It's a new opportunity each and every time you talk to somebody. Like, for instance, now it's about 12:30, right? We're going to wrap up in a moment. I promised you I wasn't going to bludgeon you with a bunch of data. But what I'm saying is, if you got a 1 o'clock call, if you got a 2 o'clock meeting, a 3 o'clock presentation, a 4 o'clock team buildings, you got a bunch of opportunities to be able to have a communication that enables you to progressively go forward. Okay? So remember, if you believe that every communication can help you, I hope you believe that, because it does. It can. If you believe and you realize that every communication needs to be progressive, meaning it moves the relationship some way. You want to move it forward. You don't want it moving backwards, and you certainly don't want it to stop. So when every communication matters and every communication is progressive, remember, you are the driver. You are the driver. You were the one navigating the manual transmission. You were the one remembering that, oh my God, I've got this. So you're pacing. Strong opening, a little bit faster, more energy, slower middle. Watch the reactions of the room when you need to pivot and adjust the pacing and or volume. Just watch the reactions, right? Strong anthemic, moving forward, more excited close, because people will know that they're expected to do something and they're going to respond more. That automotive group that I told you about, biggest buy we ever got in regards to the company I was with. Biggest buy. Not because I'm all that. I believe as a team, we were ready. The clients told us we were ready and that we delivered. You're not working alone. Even if you're an entrepreneur, no one goes it alone, at least in the best case situation. So every communication you have from this point forward, promise me, you know that it's meaningful. You're going to get something from it, especially if you go in realizing that, okay? Now, speaking of getting something, folks, over these last few days, I've pulled together this handy-dandy checklist of these top tips. Over the 3 days, I'm thinking so far, we probably have come up with about 12, 13 distinct different tips that can help you. Here's a way to get that checklist. I'll email it to you. How do you do it? Literally, my email. Make it easier for you. See that QR code? You're near that. Click that QR code. Take the photo, the screen grab of that QR code. Takes you to the duffinmedia.com website. You want to get at me? Easy, easy, easy. JD at duffinmedia.com. Again, that is JD at duffinmedia.com. It really matters to me. The website is duffinmedia.com. Email me at jd at duffinmedia.com, and I promise you, I will get you that checklist. And folks, I am really grateful that you showed up for me today. Truly grateful. Means the world to me. So I've had some fun. I hope you did too. We will certainly be back with more top tips. Keep viewed to your screens and you'll know. And again, join me, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. I'm there, and I'm grateful that you are too. John Duffin here, Duffin Media, Duffin Coaching. Have a fantastic day. Thrilled that you made the time for me, and we'll certainly talk soon. Bye.